everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Harsh Vocals podcast. We are your co-hosts. I'm Justin Corbett, and Christian Renner is here with me.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Christian?
Yeah, I'm not bad.
So this is our first episode. Typically, we would start the show with a format and whatnot, but since we are starting early January, we're going to go ahead and cover our best of lists from 2023 to begin with. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about who we are and what harshvocals.com is about and what brought all of this together. So, as I said before, my name is Justin Corbett. I've been podcasting for about 10 years now. I've done podcasts in the realm of comedy, podcasts in the realm of comic books, and I've been a lifelong heavy metal fan. And so I've always wanted to do a heavy metal podcast. I've been on many heavy metal podcasts. We're very close friends with the guys over at MSRcast and Metal Geeks. And I know Christian has a few others that he's been on. So we've talked about metal many, many times, but never on our own platform. So something I wanted to do for 2024 was create my own website where I could blog about music, write reviews about albums that I find throughout the year that I enjoy, and then talk about it with Christian. Because of all of our friends in our metal group, he and I probably have the closest aligned opinions about music. We're both big fans of harsh vocals in general, black metal, dark metal, and all of its various forms, extreme metal. That's not to say that we won't occasionally give props to a really good power metal album or a really good, doom metal album or something like that. But typically that's not our jam, So if we do give props to that, then it's going to be something exceptional. So Christian, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and what brought you around to doing this with me?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about actually doing a podcast on my own for quite a while, but getting it off the ground's not exactly super easy. And, I don't have any history. I don't have any experience in this. And so like when you asked, I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. I'm in. Somebody that actually knows what they're doing can, guide this whole thing. And
yeah, I've got the technical know-how, but honestly, I think your metal knowledge probably runs deeper than mine.
I think it may be more varied.
Oh, it's definitely more varied.
And if I do have more knowledge, it's simply age. I'm an old dude. So, I'm in my 50s now. That's hard to believe.
You don't look it, though.
Yeah. Thank you. But, yeah, I got into metal when I was about 10, 11 years old, something like that. The very first heavy metal album that I bought on my own was the new album from AC/DC called Back in Black.
Oh, wow.
With their new singer, and I went to the store and I bought the cassette. And I was like, well, what is this all about? And I wore the hell out of that tape. And just so everybody knows, back then, they were considered metal. Van Halen was metal. Rush was progressive metal. I mean, these were all metal bands that, nowadays you would probably consider them strictly hard rock, not metal. But back then, they were metal. So
that's definitely a great topic for discussion for maybe a future episode. Like, where is that line for deciding between whether something is hard rock or heavy metal? Because, there's still huge groups of people on the internet that consider all those bands you just mentioned to be heavy metal. And I think they fall within that realm, even if they aren't quite as hard as some of the modern stuff we listen to.
Actually, I think that line is drawn by age.
Yeah, I can see that
people
too.
People age would still consider that metal. Like I would still consider Van Halen metal. The soaring guitar solos and, the more aggressive nature to the music, that was always something about metal, when Black Sabbath, and I'm one of the people that will say that Black Sabbath kind of invented heavy metal. They were the first ones with can't really say first ones, but they were the first popular band to down-tune the guitars. And what they call the Devil's Triad there, in the sound that they created, power chords and stuff, and soaring guitar solos and stuff. They were one of the first to do it, and then other bands kind of took it from there. Iron Maiden and Judas Priest in the 70s, and nobody would ever say that Iron Maiden is not metal.
No.
They were in the 70s too. So
a lot of that stuff was before my time, unfortunately. I'm not exactly young. I was born in 1982, but I came into metal around the time I was 12 or so. And I think I started out really with sort of like thrash, Pantera, Metallica kind of stuff. And then, moved into industrial and then slowly worked my way towards more and more extreme until, I ended up liking Norwegian black metal and whatnot. But a lot of the stuff from before my time, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, I just have never really been able to connect with the way that so many other people seem to. And I think it's just because of the clean vocals. Like, I mean, even though I started out listening to growly James Hetfield and, whatnot, I mean, I've always been gravitated more towards harsher, angrier sounding vocals. And so with clean vocals, I'm very, very particular about it. It has to sound right to my ear. The person singing them has to actually be able to sing. I do like a lot of interspersed, like clean female vocals with really, really heavy, harsh vocals. But those old guys, for some reason, I just never have clicked with. Like, I have so many friends that are huge Iron Maiden fans, so many friends that are huge Judas Priest fans. And
I mean, I will freely admit, Iron Maiden is my favorite band of all time. Always will be. That will never change. But
you grew up with it. You grew up with it, and I didn't. And
that's the thing.
That's the big difference. Yeah.
There wasn't really harsh vocals per se, when I first got into heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
If you had harsh vocals, the reason you had harsh vocals was because you couldn't sing.
Yeah.
And that was just the case. I think the very first time that I actually, came across an album that was, harsh vocally, was Venom.
Yeah.
And and I just thought, I still actually think that album's terrible. I don't understand the love that album gets, but that's a whole different thing.
But I'm with you on that. I mean, as much as I love the harsh vocals, I've never understood the love for Venom either. I get the things that it inspired, because there are a lot of things on that first album that you can hear their influence on other albums. But Venom as a band itself, I'm just not a big fan of.
Yeah. And I mean, it took me a little bit to get into stuff like Motorhead, even, because of the harsher kind of style. I mean, we had talked about doing a separate podcast about how we got into the harsh vocals.
Yeah.
So I won't go into great detail, but it took me a while. It definitely took me a while. It took me to the, mid to late 90s to really... I was like, holy shit.
That's about when I made my transition as well. I remember the very first time I heard In Flames Clayman, and what a eye-opener that was for me. I mean, it was one of those albums that just completely changed my life. I mean, I'm not a huge In Flames fan with their modern day stuff, although their latest album was pretty solid. But the classic In Flames stuff, like, that was my bread and butter in the late 90s. And it was definitely my big transition to heavier metal, heavier vocals.
Yeah, they were definitely one of the ones that got me, along with Opeth and Dark Tranquillity. And
love Dark Tranquillity.
Yeah, a lot of that, Gothenburg death metal. I got really, really into that.
And we're still seeing influences of that style of music today. I mean, there's been some amazing melodeath albums that have come out in the last few months that were heavily inspired by the Gothenburg sound. And it's just incredible that still almost 30 years later, they're still having that kind of impact.
Heavy metal is so varied.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I love about it, is you can listen to 10 albums and all 10 of them will be heavy metal, but they all sound different.
Yep.
You can't turn around and say, yeah, I hear a lot of similarities between Halloween and Mayhem. No, you don't. No, you
well,
don't.
Unless you're the singer from Mudvayne, because he thinks all modern metal sounds the same.
Yeah, but there's just the vast variety of it, and I think that's what I love about it so much. And I absolutely love coming across something new, and even more so if it's like all of a sudden genre defining, or all of a sudden they're kicking off something completely different. I mean,
yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Just foreshadowing.
So Christian and I, we've been friends for almost 3 or 4 years now. Part of a metal group that evolved from Kerry Gordon over at MSR Cast. He's connected with tons of other metal podcasters and writers, and we all promote albums we find that are really good to everybody in the group, and we talk about them. But Christian and I, as I said before, are very aligned in our tastes. So he and I have developed a friendship outside of that group, and we talk about the heavy stuff as it comes out. And for the last 3 or 4 years, Christian and I both tried really hard to listen to almost everything that's come out. Every single week, we update a Spotify playlist with all the new albums that come out, and we go through them, and we create a separate Spotify playlist of the ones that are worth considering contention for our end of the year lists. And 2023, I did the same thing as I always do. I started out with about 300 albums in my consideration list because there was just that much good stuff that came out this year. It's been like a landmark year for metal, just tons and tons of quality releases. And paring that down to 60 or so albums that were good enough to actually be in contention for my top 10, and then paring that down to 10 was a real challenge. And I know Christian has been struggling with that for the last few days too, in preparation for this podcast.
Just trying to get it to 1 through 10. Like, if you ask me tomorrow, my number one might be completely different.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing my top 10 by which ones did I enjoy the most?
Mhm.
Not necessarily was it the best album that come out this year, just that whole, like when you get that sense of, damn, this is good, and then you just can't break it.
It's a constant search to find those albums that are mind-blowing. I mean, if you're lucky, you find one or two a year that just completely grab hold of you and don't let go. And
yeah,
I found a couple this year, so I feel like I was very privileged. Last year there was only one. Year before that, I don't think there was any. So it doesn't even happen every year, but once in a while you come across something that's just magical and you can't let go of it.
And I mean, your number one this year is a perfect example of that. Your number one would have easily made my top 10 if I had heard it earlier.
Yeah.
But I just don't have enough,
And that's the thing.
I didn't hear it until you mentioned it. And I was like, oh shit, this is really good. But at that point, it's like, I'm not moving stuff out of my list again. That's just not going to happen. But like it could easily be in my top 10 if I'd heard it earlier.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, as much as we try to listen to everything, and we do listen to thousands of albums every year, we can't hear everything. I mean, it's just impossible. Yeah. There's too many releases. So I love the end of the year because every major metal site puts out their best of lists. Every friend I have puts out their best of lists. There's just top 10, top 20, top 50 lists everywhere. And so you get the opportunity, because there's not that much being released between December 15th and January 15th, to dig through everybody else's list and see what you missed that was good enough to make their list. And so I always make a few discoveries that are just excellent that I just have to kind of include as an honorable mention, because again, like Christian said, if I had more time with it, it might have made it onto my list, but because I didn't hear it, it couldn't. So without any further ado, let's actually get into our top 10 lists. If you want to check out both of ours, they're going to be available on harshvocals.com as articles as well. My article actually shows my top 30, and there's a link to my Spotify playlist if you want to check it out. Christian, I think you're working on a similar article for yours, so people can
I'll write it up
check out your stuff
probably tomorrow.
Cool. So it'll be up probably around the time this episode drops. So if you want to check out either of our top 10, top 30 lists, head over to harshvocals.com. So Christian, let's start with you. What was your number 10 album of the year for 2023?
Well, this is going to be kind of not exactly Harsh Vocals podcast worthy, but Sacred Outcry, Towers of Gold. It's a power metal album. But another one of our friends, Sean from MSR Cast, if I remember right, this here's his number one record of the year. And,
I believe it is, yeah.
It's a fantastic power metal album. I'm saying to the point where it could possibly be one of the best power metal albums come out in the last few years. It is that good. Just the level of writing on there, the songs are fantastic. Everything about it is just top tier. And I love that record. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I've seen it actually on a few of our friends' top lists, including our friends over at the Metal Exchange podcast. I think both of them really appreciate it as well. And if you're more into progressive and power metal, they're definitely a good show to check out. They're kind of the opposite of what we are.
Yeah, there are a couple of people in our group that are just not fans of the harsh vocal style. So
right, they like the clean singing, which is not what we're about.
Nah.
Well, that's cool. I don't think I checked that album out, but I will now that I've seen it on so many lists, and you liked it as well. Typically, power metal is really hit or miss for me, but I'll give it a shot. Why not?
Like you said, with the clean singing, it has to be really well done. And I can't remember the guy's name, but man, his vocals are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Cool. I'll give it a shot. Moving on to my number 10, it was King, Fury and Death. So the band King is out of Australia. They're a melodic black metal with death metal influences. The way I've been describing this album to anyone that will listen is that it is basically like if Classic Immortal, pre-Abath leaving, recorded a modern metal album and had higher production value on it.
Yeah, add a little bit more mellow death into it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean
Mm-hmm.
it's a great record. It's a great record.
Yeah, it's really really fun. Just dark and cold and grim, and I mean that stuff's fun to me. Maybe not everybody, but lots of blast beats, lots of traditional Immortal sound built into an album made by a band that is not Immortal. So
Yeah,
I
and
really enjoyed it a
fantastic on
lot.
vinyl. Fantastic
Yes,
on
it is.
vinyl.
I think that's one we both own.
Yeah, yeah. I bought it.
Okay, so what's your number 9, Christian?
My number 9 will be, I hope I say this right, Triglav, The Ritual. Just a great record. It has, like what you were talking about with King, that dark, cold kind of sound to it. And yeah, it's another one that's fantastic for vinyl. Well, just about everything is on this list is fantastic for vinyl, but great album all the way, start to finish. Great album all the way through.
Yeah, it's actually my number 9 as well. It's a Croatian guy named Boris Bahara, and it's his solo project. It was formed in 2018. The first album was called Night of the Whispering Souls, which I did hear back in 2019 when it was released, and it ended up on my consideration list for that year. Although it didn't actually make it into my top 25, it was good enough to at least be considered. So when the new album came out, The Ritual, I gotta say, like, he's really just stepped it up. I mean, the album is just, it rips, as the kids say. It's super fast, super intense, just a all around great black and death metal album, great black and death metal project. If you haven't heard Triglav, you got to seek him out and give this album a listen because it's really really good. It's definitely one that slipped under a lot of people's radars. I think that happens a lot with one man projects. I feel like in general the metal reviewing community kind of dismisses one man projects. There's something about the fact that there's not multiple musicians involved that makes them not pay attention to those albums, which is a shame because although there is a glut of them, there's a lot that are absolutely phenomenal.
And actually, I would say that, there seems to be a lot more one man projects in black metal.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it just shows the power of the internet that you can put this out and you can do this all on your own if you really have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think the explosion on how good black metal has been over the last 3 to 5 years, roughly, is because of that. A lot of the one man project stuff coming out, like you don't necessarily have to tour or whatever, and you can still kick something out.
Yeah, well, nowadays, I mean, recording equipment is just so affordable. You can basically build your own
Yeah,
studio in your house for a few $100, and then if you're a talented enough writer and you can compose it all yourself and play all the instruments yourself, why not? Just go for it.
yeah, yeah,
And I mean, a lot of them do, and I would say probably 75% are just okay. But then there's those 25% that are just excellent
yeah,
musicians and excellent songwriters on top of that. And I love finding those projects. I mean, I know for a fact I have 2 of them in my top 10 list. So
yeah. I got a couple.
don't discount the solo projects, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that seems like a good place to play our first song. This is going to be Triglav's The Redemption off of their album The Ritual. Here you go. And we're back. So, hope you enjoyed that. That was Traglav's The Redemption off the Ritual album. That is Christian's and my number 9 album of the year for both of us. So, definitely go check it out if you like what you heard. Let's move on. Christian, what's your number 8 for the year for 2023?
All right. Earlier, I mentioned that, I'm a big fan of like genre defining stuff or somebody that's coming out with something new. And although this band is not new, this here's the first time I had heard of them. And my number 8 is going to be Wayfarer, American Gothic. And what they do differently they have this whole Western feel, almost country music stuff that they mix in with their black metal. And, on the face of it, if you just heard that, you would just be like, there's no way that's going to work. There's no way. And then you hear it and you're like, holy shit, this works. It's like, I don't exactly know how they managed to do this because it really shouldn't work.
It's just a testament to how talented they are and how innovative they are. I mean, Wayfarer has been around for several years now, I think 5 or 6 years. They're based out of Colorado. Yeah. This was actually my number 13 album, if we're going to get into the nitty gritty. But the first time I heard it, I was blown away as well. So yeah, they do like a Wild West theme style of black metal on this album, which is something I had never heard before. And it's really unique and it's really kind of charming in a way just because of how nuanced it is. There's a lot of cool sounds that should not work together that do work together.
Yeah, I mean, there was another band that came out last year. The name escapes me now, but they had this Western kind of theme too, but it was always an intro.
Okay.
Or, a small passage in between songs or something that was very Western inspired or whatever, but the songs themselves were not. And Wayfarer mixes all that in. And
yeah,
I'm just shocked it works as well as it does.
Yeah, it was one of those that was in really solid contention for top 10 for me. I love the album. I bought it on vinyl as well. I play it all the time. There were so many things that were just slightly better. It's one of those things where it's just like the smallest margin, and I can only fit 10 albums in, so it's tough.
And that's something else too. When I take a look at all these end of year lists, I never sit there and go, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are they smoking? Yeah. Because I'm just like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it may not made mine, but just about everything was definitely in contention or, right there.
Taste is subjective, man.
Yeah, you don't have, like, I could not argue with somebody, unless it's something, like whenever Rolling Stone puts out a best of the metal.
Oh, God. Loudwire and Rolling Stone have no idea what they're talking about. It's just like, oh, here's a bunch of bands that aren't really metal that we think are the best metal bands of the year. It's like Foo Fighters isn't metal. Foo Fighters is rock.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with the new Metallica album. I don't think the new Metallica album is terrible, but it's a hard rock record at most.
It's pretty good for a modern Metallica album. I mean, it's not the best album of the year. Not even close. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's not even in my top 50. Yeah,
even
it wasn't even the best release of that week. Yeah,
that week Overkill released their new album, and I would contend that Overkill album smokes that Metallica album. But
I completely agree.
And I'm not trying to shit on it because it is actually good, and it is easily the best thing that they've probably done in 10 years. But the problem with a lot of the legacy bands, they have the same problem. Just because you can put 80 minutes of music on a CD doesn't mean you should. And that album is bloated. The same thing with the new Megadeth album. It's bloated. It has some good songs, but man, you take 15, 20 minutes off of each one of those albums, they're infinitely better.
Yeah. Bloat is a big problem for not just the legacy bands, but for a lot of bands. I mean, I listen to tons of black metal, and I don't know, black metal probably has more bloat than any other genre, to be honest, because there's people that just love to hear themselves riff for for way too long. And it's just, I mean, you get a cool sound and then you play it until it's not that enjoyable anymore.
Or those intro tracks, or the 30-second tracks in between the songs. Like,
if a black metal album starts with a 3-minute or 4-minute instrumental piece, or starts out with somebody just shrieking immediately before the music's even begun, I know exactly what I'm in for, and it's probably not going to be a contender.
I definitely get that.
All right, let's move on.
So what was your number 8?
So my number 8 was Moonlight Sorcery, Horned Lord of the Thorned Castle. A lot of people put this higher on their list than I did.
It's higher on mine.
It's one of those magical albums we were talking about. Moonlight Sorcery's been around for a few years now. They've released several EPs. A couple of years ago, when Stormkeep was really making a big splash in the black metal scene, they had an EP come out called Piercing Through the Frozen Eternity. And that was my first exposure to Moonlight Sorcery. And I thought that thing was amazing, but I couldn't put it on my list because it was an EP and not an LP. And typically I don't consider albums unless they're full albums. So I was really anticipating this release. And when it came out, I was pleasantly surprised at how good it is. It's one that I spun throughout the year, kept going back to it. It's very high energy, almost as if power metal meets black metal.
Yeah.
But it still stays true to the black metal sound. I can't say enough good things about it.
Guitars on that album are so good. So damn good.
Yeah, they really, really are. If you like black metal at all, if you like melody in your black metal, this is a must listen just across the board. I don't really know what else I can say about it.
I mean, I have it up higher on my list, and we could probably, I'll just talk about it now. But the thing that got me about this album is it hit me the same way the Stormkeep album hit me last year.
Mhm.
You know, how it kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't familiar with Moonlight Sorcery, and I just became addicted to this record. I mean, I just played it solid for like 2-3 weeks. It just would not leave my playlist. And, you know, I still spin it quite a bit. It's just a fantastic record.
Yeah. Where did it end up on your top 10?
It ended up number 3 on mine.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It's one of those that I could totally see being much higher or maybe a little bit lower than where I placed it. But I've seen it on a lot of lists, and it definitely deserves to be there. So,
and such a great title, Horn Lord of the Thorn Castle. Try and say that 5 times fast, but you know that just screams black metal. And then if you see the album cover, it's like this is just all about black metal, isn't it?
Yep. I love it. All right, and so on that note, let's hear a track from the album. This is going to be Moonlight Sorcery from the Horned Lord and the Thorn Castle, and the song is going to be called In Coldest Embrace. Man, what a track.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song.
Yeah, it's
Fantastic song.
one of the best on the album, and the album's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
absolutely check it out if you like that kind of music. All right, well, let's keep things moving. What's your number 7, Christian?
Well, actually, a little bit, in the same vein as Moonlight Sorcery, but my number 7 was Cloak, Black Flame Eternal. It has a lot of the same things that Moonlight Sorcery has, soaring guitars. It has that more upbeat kind of feel to it. And I mean, I like the album so much. I actually just received it, but I
Nice.
bought both of their other albums. Their first one and their second one, and now I have all three. And oddly enough, I found this album. I was going up to Minneapolis to see Halloween, and they have a record store there called Electric Fetus.
Mm-hmm.
Great name for a record store, and happened to see it in their new release section. I'm like, man, it'd be great if Des Moines actually had new release underground metal. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And so picked it up there, and it's probably been spun at least a dozen times on the turntable. Great record.
Yeah. So Cloak was actually my number 12 this year. Again, by the thinnest of margins, it didn't make it into my top 10. But I've been a champion of this band since I heard their first album, In Venomous Deaths, back in I think it was 2017 or 2018. I've loved Cloak. I mean, they're doing black and roll, hard, satanic American metal, which there's not a lot of. I mean, you hear a lot of like this kind of black metal from overseas, but you don't hear a lot of it in America. And the fact that they're from Atlanta and, they tour around the States all the time. I haven't gotten the opportunity to see them live yet, but I definitely want to at some point. So the next time they're in Texas, I will be hitting them up. It's a great album. You can tell they're improving with each album they release, but Cloak is one of those that I love their entire discography. So,
Yeah.
Christian's right. Go back and check out their previous records as well, because they're just a great band all around.
Yeah. And, there's a few of those black metal bands, especially from the U.S., that have kind of exploded. I want to say, Netherbird is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Uwada is another one.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to see Uwada last year, and they were just they were as described. The way my friend Dave talked about them, he said the first time he saw them, there was so much smoke that just appeared in the room, and then these figures just like appeared out of the fog, played their entire set, and then vanished back into the fog without any kind of pomp or circumstance. And that's exactly what they did when I went and saw them with Garia. And holy shit, it was cool. I love Uwada.
Yeah, I definitely need to see them live. It's just not a lot of black metal comes through Des Moines, Iowa. So
yeah, I know it sucks where you are.
Yeah, it does.
Got to come down to Houston.
I'm so jealous about Houston. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, move down here, man. Find a job down here and move down here.
If only it was that easy.
Yeah, I know. All right, well, let's move on. My number 7 is the first of 3 French black metal bands that made it into my top 10. What a crazy good year for that scene. I mean, French black metal has kind of been slowly working its way to the forefront of like the best black metal stuff for the last few years. But I think this is the year where they finally can plant that flag and say, yeah, the best black metal music's coming out of France. There's so much good stuff out of Portugal. There's so much good stuff out of Germany. So much good stuff out of even Spain, Mexico. Like I'm hearing good stuff all around, but France in particular, holy shit. Yeah. I don't know what's in the water there, but these guys love Satan.
yeah. They're definitely on top of it. To me, Central Europe has really taken over that flag that, Norway and Sweden had, and Finland too.
There's still good stuff coming out of there. I didn't mention them because I thought it went without saying, but they're they're not measuring up these days. It doesn't seem like
it's not even close, and that's kind of sad. It's kind of sad.
But anyways, my first French album on my top 10 list is my number 7. It's Moonreich Amer. So these guys were founded in 2018. They've been kind of hailed as the Gojira of black metal, which I think is kind of an apt description. There's a lot of progressive elements to their black metal. They also have a lot of raw emotion in their albums. Amer in particular is just beginning to end. Like you can feel the passion of the vocalist as he's like going through these songs. And that in particular reminds me a lot of Garia, who I mentioned before, who I'm also a massive fan of. Moonreich Amer was my most played album this year by a large margin. I probably listened to this thing 120 times. It's a deeply personal album for me. It checks all my boxes, and if the 6 albums that are ahead of it hadn't been so damn good, it would have ended up higher on my list. So if you enjoy that raw, emotional black metal style, this is one you got to hear.
That's actually one that I have not heard.
Yeah, a lot of people
not heard
haven't.
that record.
I'm not sure how it slipped under so many radars because it's just phenomenal, but you got to hear it. All right. So what about you, Christian? What is your next one, the number 6 for you?
My number 6 is Inherits the Void. Speaking of, aren't they from France too?
They are French, yes. And that's actually my number 4.
The Impending Fall of Stars. Heard this really early on in the year, and it just never left. And I mean, that's just a testament just to how good this record is. And again, one-man project.
Yeah.
I've talked to the guy a couple of times on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's pretty quick about answering questions on Facebook, mainly because I was trying so hard to get that record from Europe on vinyl. Mm-hmm. And since he's a one-man guy, he had to ship it himself. So, I was talking to him through the whole thing. And even though, the album itself was like $28 and shipping was $24,
it's worth it.
Usually I won't go there, but this album is just too good to pass up. And, I'm really glad that I bought it on vinyl.
Yeah. If I listen to Moonrake's Zamer over 100 times, I listened to this one 95. It was right there behind it. It's my second most listened album of the year. It was number 4 for me. Luckily, and maybe you're the reason why, he went ahead and updated his Bandcamp with ways to order the album directly through there. So that's how I got my vinyl copy.
Yeah, at first it was only like I had to contact him, and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't think I was going to, but like at first, I don't think it was originally set to have a vinyl release, but so many people were asking for it that I think he went ahead and did it."
Well, I'm glad he did. I'm really happy I own a copy. And
I think he only did 200 of them.
Yeah, it was definitely a small run, so we're fortunate to have them. This is one of those that was kind of not exactly under the radar, but only people that were like into underground music knew about it.
Yeah.
Because I've only seen it on a few end of year lists, and like I've talked to other musicians. Like I was talking to the singer of Kriegsgrav on a Facebook post a few days ago, and he was like, that album kicks ass. So I mean, I know that it's being acknowledged by other underground artists, but it didn't quite make a lot of end of year lists.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. It almost seemed like the only people that actually bought the vinyl were like friends of ours.
And I think that happens a lot too, because like we listen to so much that we discover things and then we share it with our friends, and inevitably it ends up on all of our friends' end of year list, and then I don't see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I mean, it may just be like this real insular thing where we're only affecting the people that know about us. But I'm hoping that with Harsh Vocals and this podcast, we're going to be able to get the word out more for these smaller, one-man bands that are deserving of the attention, because Inherits the Void and Triglav are both kick-ass projects that people need to know about,
Yeah. And I mean that, everybody and his brother knows Metallica had an album come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
No need to talk about Metallica.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Pantera is on tour, and half the crowd likes it, half the crowd doesn't. I know all that, but does Pantera need me to push them? No. But Inherits the Void, yeah, you should definitely check that out.
Yeah. And that's where I stand too. So that was your number 6, my number 4. Let's go ahead and play a track from that album so that our listeners can hear what it's all about. So this is Inherits the Void off of their album, The Impending Fall of the Stars, and the name of the song is Palingenesis. Yeah, I just love that, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great record. I mean, all the way through. I mean, I don't think there's a weak song on that entire album.
There isn't. There is not. And that's why it surpassed some of the albums that were in the second half of my top 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great stuff. All right, let's move on. That was your number 6. My number 6 is Aeodon Portraits.
Another one I haven't heard.
Third French black metal band on my top 10. You haven't heard this one, Christian?
No, I have not.
Oh, my God. So it's Garia if Garia was more melodic.
Ooh. I would definitely be in on that. And maybe I have heard this.
So it's
was it near the end of the year?
No, it was like April, I think.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I played this one.
I'm probably thinking of something else.
An absolute ton. It's a really beautiful album. So it's a concept album about 9 people, some of who are real, some of who are fictional. They don't really distinguish about who is who, but it's about the downfall of all of these 9 people. And so every single track is about, the life journey that this person takes and like their eventual downfall. So every single song is full of like really, really high highs and really, really low lows. And there's a lot of unusual progression built in with the melodies and with the black metal that just makes it such a unique album. I've seen it on a few end of your lists. It's usually like in the top 50, but I can understand that this album is not for everybody because not everybody likes that raw emotion built into their music, but I do. That's my favorite kind of black metal. And so this just floored me the first time I heard it, and I listened to it all nonstop all year. I was addicted to this album the same way Christian was to Moonlight Sorcery. I do think technically the few bands that are above it were better, but it's absolutely deserving of a top 10 spot. And as I mentioned before, every single one of these placements is just, a marginal difference between where any of them could have ended up. And like Christian said, they could switch on a daily basis. So Aeodon Portraits, it's an album that if you like that raw sound, you have to hear. It's so good. So moving on, number 5. What was your number 5, Christian?
My number 5 is another one-man project, only this guy actually is getting some serious push. I've seen his album all over end of year list, and it definitely made mine. It's Hellripper, Warlocks, Grim, and Withered Hags. Man, this is just fun. It's just a fun record. I mean, this guy is... I have to see this band live. I mean, if he could just, get a package tour with maybe Bewitcher and Midnight and all 3 of those. Oh my God, that would be such a great. All 3 of those are kind of similar.
In the same vein, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it would be so badass. I mean, he's a little bit more into the thrash metal than Midnight is more of that black and roll kind of thing. Along with Bewitcher, they have that black and roll kind of sound. He's a little bit more into the thrash, but man, he is talented. And, I've seen a ton of interviews with this guy and just seems like an insanely nice guy and a huge, huge fan of metal in general. And I mean, the interviews that I've seen where he's talking about like some underground stuff that he's like, oh man, you should hear this. And I'm pretty tapped into the underground. I've never heard of what the hell he's talking about. Like, I don't know, I should check that out.
We got to go deeper underground, Christian.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, where are you finding that? It's like, holy shit.
No, but I think
fantastic album.
I think that's something I've noticed a lot too. Is that all of these underground musicians are all just like the nicest guys. Every single one that I've talked to in person or interviewed with or read interviews about. They all seem just like really genuine fans of their particular genre and just music in general. And the few experiences that I've had live with any of these guys, they've always been very polite and very,
very personable
and excited to just meet people that enjoy what they're doing. So, when
I met Bewitcher, holy crap. I mean, they were all about the fans. I mean, they were like taking picture upon picture, and I mean, they were opening up.
That's awesome.
And so they only played a half an hour, but man, they sold quite a bit of merch that night.
Well, I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, their fans are there to support them. Their fans should buy stuff, and then the band should allocate whatever time and energy they have left to their fans because they're there for each other. So I just think it's cool. I love what the underground metal music scene is all about. It's totally different from anything else, and the people that are on the outside just don't understand. So
Yep.
And actually that album, that Hellripper album, I really dug it. Thrash is not one of my like top genres, but I do listen to it. and Hellripper ended up being 32 on my list. So it just barely missed the cutoff for making my top 30. So it's a very, very good album.
Yep.
Number 5 for me is another one that surprised me by making it into my top 10, and let alone my top 5. Fires in the Distance, Air Not Meant for Us. So they're really more of like a melodic doom metal band than anything else, and doom is usually way too slow for me. I like fast-paced, intense stuff. Something about this album, though, just grabbed me from the very first time I heard it and never let go. It's just a melodic masterpiece that is full of emotion, maybe not in the vocals, but in the melodies. And I couldn't get enough of it throughout the year. This is another one that I ordered on vinyl almost immediately after hearing it. And it's just stuck with me throughout the year. So I have no issues saying that this is the best doom metal album of the year, in my opinion. It's so good. And I'd be shocked if our listeners have not heard it at this point, because this one is on almost every end of the year list.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It ended up being number 13 for me. And it's exactly from what you said. I'm not a big fan of doom.
Mm-hmm.
The slower tempos. I'm just not a big fan of slower tempo music. But yeah, this is a fantastic record, though. I mean, this is one you can just throw on the turntable, chill with a drink, and just sit there with the album artwork or whatever, and just let it envelope you.
Yeah,
it's one of those kind of records, like a super chill record. Sit back with.
Completely agree. Next is number 4. I already mentioned that mine was Inherits the Void. What's yours, Christian?
Permutation, Transients. This is a band that came out near the end of the year. And yeah, I mean, I really don't know what to say about this record. I mean, after the very first time I heard it, I was online ordering it on vinyl. And I mean, even bought a t-shirt, which I normally don't do.
Yeah.
And, I had to get it from Europe. So it was, I don't know if they made a mistake at the time, but shipping was only like $7, which is unheard of.
I think they use they use a broker to ship, because mine was the same price, but I ordered the vinyl and shirt combo as well, which again, I don't usually buy shirts, but same impact here. The first time I heard it, I was like, wow, this is something truly special. Yeah. I'm buying it, and I'm just astonished that I have not seen anybody else talk about this album. I haven't seen it on any of your lists. I haven't seen any reviews for the album. I haven't seen anything. And the production level on it is just extremely high level. It's really, really well mastered.
It's perfect.
Such a perfect sounding technical album. I don't really know what else to say about it. It was my number 3. It just blew me away from the get-go. And, I hope that this podcast and our new site brings some exposure to these guys, because they seem like super genuine, nice guys too.
Yeah.
They wrote me like a thank you letter when they sent me my stuff, which was cool. And then they even checked out my comics that I do on the side. So, I mean, what can I say?
Yeah.
Just like we were talking about before, we got to support each other. So I hope that more people check out Permutation. And actually let's play a track from them right now so people can check them out. So This is Permutation off their album Transients, and the song name is A Feast for Crows. Yeah, just so fucking good, man.
The guitars in that so good.
This is their debut album, and maybe it's really hard to get traction with the debut album, but I don't think I've heard a debut album that was this good
Yeah.
in ages.
I
So
mean, this definitely sounds like an album from a black metal band that is maybe on their fourth or fifth album,
yeah, they're
in their level of writing. And, especially,
way ahead of the curve.
yeah, especially if you consider one of the biggest issues I always have with underground black metal is if it has poor production. And this production
Mhm.
is perfect. I mean, there's everything sounds great.
Yeah, completely agree. And that's why it's my number 3, and that's why it was your number
Yep.
4. So what about you? What's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is actually the Moonlight Sorcery album. So we already talked about that.
Okay.
So we can move on.
Yeah, I forgot.
It's all good.
All right, what about number 2 then?
My number 2 is Insomnium, Anno 1696. This album was kind of difficult for me because I listened to it a lot. I mean, a real lot. And when it first came out, I was fully addicted to this. I loved every fucking minute of it. And as more stuff came out, it started to get pushed further and further back.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go back and I take a look at how many times I listened to this record, I have to give it props. It was just that good. And I mean, if you're looking for some melodic death metal, it really doesn't get a whole lot better than Insomnium. I mean, such a great band. Another band that I don't think they have a weak album.
Oh, I don't know about that. They did that one that was full of clean singing. I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it didn't bother me that much, but
well, you like a lot more
could
variety than I do.
Yeah.
So like I love Insomnium. I've been a fan of Insomnium since like In the Halls of Awaiting, way back then. And some of their albums I think are just absolute masterpieces. But the last couple just haven't grabbed me the way that the old ones did. Especially this one. Like I gave it 3 or 4 listens and it just never got its claws in me. So it didn't even make my top 50, which is kind of shocking for an Insomnium album because I've been a fan for such a long time. But this one just I couldn't connect with. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, for some odd reason, it hit me pretty hard. And I liked it almost immediately. And, I actually saw them live before I even knew who the hell they were.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were on tour with Oceans of Slumber, and they actually, back then, I wasn't even sure who the hell Oceans of Slumber were. Like, hey, why not?
Yeah.
Went to the show and was thoroughly impressed with both. And matter of fact, I think I still have a clip of Insomnium on my phone somewhere.
That's cool.
Doing a song. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a bucket list band for me. I mean, I know they were in Houston a couple times, but every time they've been here, there's been some kind of major conflict and I haven't been able to go. So I'm crossing my fingers that one day they'll make it back and I'll be able to see them. And maybe if I'm really lucky, they'll do like Winter's Gate all the way through or something.
Fantastic band live too.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. Well, my number 2 was the worst named band of the best of lists for this year. And that's Sado Misery, however you want to pronounce it. So, I mean, their name has been mocked on every review site from here to Norway. But there's no mocking the music. This album is a phenomenal technical melodic death metal album with some Blackened influences. I heard these guys for the first time back in 2020 when they released their album, The Great Demise. And that album had a lot of really great sections on it and a couple of fantastic songs, but there was a lot of bloat. There was something there though, and I knew it. Like as soon as I heard some of those masterpiece sections, I was just like, wow, I can't wait to see what these guys do next. And they did not disappoint. When Mazaroth came out, it was an album I was excited about, and then I finally heard it, and I was just floored at how much they had improved between their first release and this one, because in some ways it almost doesn't even sound like the same band, but in other ways it sounds like the same band that's totally expanded their sound and gotten rid of all the bloat. It's such a phenomenal album, and one that everybody who likes death metal even a little bit should check out.
I'll have to give it another shot because it didn't really grab me. But I mean, again, you and I listen to so much music.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's like not an instant kind of grab kind of thing, it might get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, and that's the hard part too, is because sometimes the best albums are the ones that take 4 or 5 listens to really fully appreciate. One of my favorite albums of all time, Behemoth the Satanist. First time I heard it, I didn't get it. And I was working on my end of the year list for that year. So many people kept saying how good it was, so I just kept listening to it. And after like the fourth or fifth playthrough, it clicked for me. And I probably listened to that album more than anything for the last 15 years. It's
That album actually took me a solid year before I was like, oh shit, this is really good.
I mean, it's the masterpiece. In my opinion, it's the best black metal album of the 2000 to 2010 era.
Oh, it's easily his best. Easily his.
Yeah, it's definitely the best Behemoth album. But, you know, the problem with listening to so much music is that sometimes, my fear at least, is that something like that is going to slip through the cracks because we give things one listen and then sort of make a determination whether we want to continue listening to it or not. And, you know, when you have 45 more albums behind the one you just heard, if it doesn't grab you immediately, sometimes you just push it aside and forget about it.
Yep.
Until the end of the year when somebody else says it's good.
Yep. And that's happened to me.
But Sodom Misery Mazaroth, it definitely could be one of those that might take you a couple of listens to really appreciate it. So you should go back and give it another shot, Christian.
I definitely will.
And for all the listeners at home, let's go ahead and play a track from that album so you guys can make a decision whether you like it or not on your own. So this is going to be Sodom Misery from the album Mazaroth. This is the song Mazaroth.
I
And we're back. What do you think, Christian?
Pretty good.
Well, you got to give the whole album a shot.
Yeah, I'll have to give it another
I'm
shot.
glad you like the one track at least. All right, and now we get to the drum roll. Best album of the year, 2023. Christian, I'll let you go first. What was your number one pick for the year?
I can't necessarily say this is the best album to come out this year, but it's hands down the one that I had the best time listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure here, my favorite genre is thrash. That's, from the 1980s on, Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer and, the Big Four and all that, Forbidden, Violence, everything coming out of, the Bay Area, and then everything coming out of Europe with Sodom and Creator and, Destruction. Man, if you'd have met 18-year-old me, that I was all about that all the time.
Yeah.
And this band, Angelus Apatrida, out of Spain, the album Aftermath. If you're like me and you're one of those 50-year-old dudes that remember the fond days of back when Metallica was a thrash band, and back when Slayer and all these bands ruled the entire metal landscape, this album fits right in with all of that. This band is so insanely good, and they have thrash metal down to a science. Their last two albums have been in my top 5. I mean, last year, I think their last album, self-titled, was number 3.
Yeah, that sounds right. I remember you talking about him then.
Even Sean, the Metal Pigeon, was raving about how good their last album was. And, for somebody that's, as into power metal as he is, it kind of says something how much he liked that record.
Mm-hmm.
And this one here, it's a little bit more melodic than their last album. There's definitely signs of them. Like I like to say, it's the best parts of Metallica mixed with Practice What You Preach era Testament. Because it has some, the melody that they bring into the songs is just really, really well done. And it wasn't an instant love like their last album was for me, but as it went along, it just kept getting better and better. And again, another album with no weak songs. That whole album's fantastic. And it is hands down the most amount of joy I actually had, listening to music this year was that album. I love that album.
Awesome. Well, thrash is not really my favorite genre, but I do dabble from here and there. And I remember you talking about them last year. I checked out the album last year and I enjoyed that. This one I have not had a chance to listen to yet, but I will give it a shot after the show.
I think you might have a little bit of problems with the amount of melody that they put into this, because they also try and I guess for a thrash band, try and sing clean.
Okay.
As clean as a thrash band can sound, but to me it works. So it's not like you're sitting there, oh Jesus, not like that. But,
well, I can't promise anything, because clean vocals either work for me or they don't. But I'll at least give it a shot, and I can promise that. So,
all right.
So this is Angelus Apatrida from the album Aftermath, and the song name is Guernica.
Taking thousands of lives as they pass.
Okay, well, we've reached the end. All that's left is my number one, which was a late release in 2023. This one came out early November. It's another one that I fell in love with immediately, and it's another French black metal band, Shock Shock. Uh, this is the first album of theirs that I've actually heard. The band name is Penitence Honorique, and the name of the album is Nature Morte. So it's atmospheric black metal, lots of melody throughout. This is their third album. Very, very tight songwriting through all three, because I did go back and listen to their previous stuff. This is their best for sure, but every single song has minimal bloat. All of the melodies and flow of the songs have a purpose. It's actually a concept album, which I didn't realize until I was prepping for this show, but it's based off of the philosophies of Rene Girard's and his thoughts on human desire. So the whole album is specifically about human desire. I don't really know what they're singing about in the songs because a lot of it's in French, but I still connected with it in a very powerful way. So yeah, this is a band that I've seen on a few end of year lists in the black metal community, but not so much in the larger metal community as a whole. I think it's one that's kind of in that middle ground where the underground people know about it, but not everybody. Definitely one that I highly, highly recommend. And it's been on repeat pretty much nonstop since the first time I heard it. So I just can't give enough praise to this album. Totally deserving of my number one spot. Easily the best atmospheric black metal album to come out this year, in my opinion. And there was a lot of really good stuff. So we're going to play one more track from this album, but we're going to do it at the very end of the show. So before we get to there, is there any honorable mentions that you wanted to talk about, Christian?
I would say for me, the new Nervosa album, another thrash metal album. I was a huge fan of their last one, and this one here, I didn't listen to it right away because they've had some lineup changes. They seem to have a lot of lineup changes, and like the drummer's gone, the singer's gone. It's like okay, so I kind of avoided it at first, but it's actually really damn good. I think it might actually be better than their last album. Of course, I have Fires in the Distance on there, King on there. A band that I haven't seen hardly anybody talk about. I was raving about them earlier in the year. They're a black metal band from Belarus called Ciemra or Ciemra, Ciemra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Tread of Darkness. Fantastic record. And I mean, hella nice guys too. I talked to them a couple of times to try and get the vinyl. And I'm definitely super interested to see what they do next because this album was fantastic, when I first heard it. But it's another one of those that kind of faded as other stuff came out. It just got pushed down.
Yeah, it lacked staying power a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you. Like, there's so much potential in this band. I'm really excited to see what their next album holds because if they progress just a little bit, they're going to be in that sweet spot.
Yeah, I could see them doing the Moonlight Sorcery, kind of move or cloak move where, all of a sudden they're just like, holy shit, and that's the other one that I have that I'd probably want to mention is For Token. I think they're out of Carolina somewhere, South Carolina maybe.
Yeah, they're a U.S. band for sure.
Yeah, their version of that Gothenburg melodic black metal kind of or melodic death metal kind of sound is really, really good. But again, another one that got pushed back.
I bought that album on vinyl
So did I.
while all the winter sales were going on because it's just one of those that like it may not have been one of my favorites, but it's one that I feel like I'll wait a year and then spin it.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, oh shit, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, I
want to revisit once in a while.
I have a couple of those from last year that like if I were to redo my list from last year, they would definitely move up.
Yeah, same here. Lists are always capable of being changed. It's dependent on mood. It's dependent on a lot of things. As I mentioned before, my top 30 has already been posted on the site. You can go and see what landed in number 11 through 30 if you want. But even outside of that, there's a few albums I wanted to give props to. So somewhere between December 15th and now, I got into like a real classic death metal kind of vibe. And I was listening to like old Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. And then I started listening to old Cattle Decapitation. And then I went back and revisited Terracite. And I don't think I really gave Terracite a fair shot through the year. It's just a fantastic album. I mean, I don't really need to give these guys any props because every other metal blog is giving them props, but Terracite is one that maybe should have made my top 30 and didn't. It's just such a good album. Same thing with Tomb Mold. really enjoyed the new Tomb Mold album. Majesties is a Gothenburg style sounding album that has a little bit of production issues, which is why I think it didn't make my top 30. I saw Sean mention it on his end of year list. The Metal Pigeon, he has a blog as well you could search for if you want to check that out. But Majesties is very much like In Flames if the vocals were pushed all the way to the back behind the music, like old In Flames. That's what they sound like. And I love the music. I just wish the mixing was a little bit better. If it had been, it definitely would have made my list. They're another one that I'm waiting to see, what the next album is going to be like. And then there's a band called Strayhor, which is a one-man product out of Slovakia, I believe, that I found in one of my black metal groups, who put out a LP at the end of 2023, like December 28th or something, that's just absolutely killer. It's Strahor. So if you're looking for something great that is really off the beaten path that you haven't heard before, it's on Spotify. Give it a listen. I'm expecting really great things from their next album too. And then lastly is an EP, which I don't, normally put in my end of year list, but I'm going to give honorable mention because this one's so good. And it's called Bloedeman in the Nightside Eclipse, Bloedmann. If you like Moonlight Sorcery, you will absolutely love that EP. So did I say it's Castle Inside the Eclipse? I said the wrong thing. Sorry. Anyways,
I was going to say
it's on Spotify as well.
They took the Emperor name.
I've got Emperor on the mind. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Castle Inside the Eclipse, Bloedeman. It's a cool album cover. It's like a red castle inside of an eclipse. Great songwriting, very melodic black metal in the same vein as Moonlight Sorcery or Stormkeep. Definitely check that out. I'm expecting great things from them in the future.
Quick question for you. What do you think of the Horrendous album?
Oh, it was number 14 for me, I think.
Oh, all right.
15, I'm sorry. It was number 15, right behind Frozen Dawn.
Yeah, because Horrendous made my a little further down the list. It definitely made mine, along with that Cattle Decapitation album. Both of them fantastic death metal. I mean, easily the two best death metal albums come out this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Horrendous just killed it. I mean, that album, anybody from any subgenre group should be able to enjoy because there's a little bit of everything built into it.
Yeah.
It's just so good. But again, you can only pick 10, so it's kind of hard. But anyways, that's going to wrap us up for our end of the year lists. I am going to play one final track for you to close out the show, and that's going to be Penitence Onirique, Nature Morte, and the song that I'm going to be playing is called Les Memonites, or Les Memonites, if I'm French. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Check those guys out. Can't go wrong. They were my number one, so I give them high praise, obviously. And we'll be back with another episode very soon. The next episode is going to be more of a standard formatted show. It's not always going to be this long. Usually the shows will be about an hour or so, but just wanted to make sure we covered everything about 2023 because there was so much to talk about. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Christian, you have any last words for our listeners?
Just bang your head. Enjoy that music.
That's what we do. All right. We'll be back soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.